Tyron's been on my show, and at that point, he had been a 5-time UFC champion. Carlos Condit comes to mind because I asked him, of the 3 guys that you fought that have been on my show, who's the toughest? And he was like, Tyron Woodley by far. He's like, man, I lost to all 3 of them, but Tyron, he hits really hard. And the thing is, though, and I'm not saying like Tyron's great, and I think that he's a super badass. He's lost his last few fights. He's not training the same. We're seeing kind of like some different sides to him on social media. Is he as focused? Is he taking this seriously? Does he have the same striking abilities? He's a little bit older now. Or is there any doubt in your mind that Ty's got this?
There's no doubts. And the reason is because I just seen Tyron train and train with him in Thailand not too long ago. And we saw his last fight too. His last fight, he lost, but he fought Vincent, and Vincent's got like 8 knockouts in the UFC. I mean, the guy's put people out in one punch, just boom, flatlined. And Tyron came out very aggressive, and Vincent's a striker. He's very good at striking in 4-ounce gloves, and he had Tyron hurt, but he didn't put him out. He didn't put him down. I mean, he didn't knock him out, but he had him hurt with quite a few shots. Tyron took quite a few punches from this guy with 5-ounce gloves who's laid out people 8 times in the UFC, and then he put him in a choke, and Tyron could have easily just gave up right then and there, or just laid there if he was knocked out or hurt bad enough, and he fought out of it as hard as he could. I mean, he was still in the fight, trying to fight out of it, until it was too late, and then the choke was too tight, and then he had to stop. So, I mean, even this guy couldn't put him out. To think that Jake Paul is better than all these guys with the 10-ounce glove on, it's. And the thing is, if he was fighting guys that were real strikers and doing this, knocking them out three in a row like that, then we can say something's behind it. But when he's fighting guys that are leaving themselves open and have never been hit before and have never dealt with this kind of stuff, it's kind of easy pickings. It's like it's easy to kind of knock these guys out. In the bin fight, I'm still kind of not too. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, but that looked weird to me.
It looked weird to me. Now, Gabriel Rosado, the boxer, came on my show, and, we're buds also, the boxer. He had trained with Ben Askren, but didn't tell me. And for some reason, it's like I knew it subconsciously, but I didn't know it. So then when we did the interview, he's talking about how Ben's going to lose. And then all of YouTube was in an uproar about Snake, like they're talking trash about Gabe. They're like, man, you trained with him and now you're saying he's going to lose. And of course he told me some stuff like off air, but the thing is, Ben's a wrestler, and he's had some injuries. He had hip surgery. Like, as you know, hips matter. Yeah.
3 months or something before he had hip surgery, and he's retired. And he's a wrestler who spent his whole career avoiding striking because he hates striking and he's not good at it. He's one of the worst strikers in the entire sport, but he's one of the best fighters because he's so good at wrestling. So these guys are taking all these guys' tools away and leaving them with only striking. And Jake Paul has picked out only guys that have no striking experience. So, and then now he's stepping in there with a guy who has vicious striking, knockout power. I mean, like vicious knockout power, and can take a hell of a punch. It's a crazy fight for him. And I'm not going to sit here and hate on Jake Paul the whole time. I'll say that he's got potential, unlike Logan. Logan needs to quit. Logan needs to do his podcast and go back, because I like Logan better. I honestly do. I really like Logan. I think he's a genius. I think he's smart. I think he's well-spoken. I think he's articulate. And I think that he talks trash, but he's very moral about it. I don't like the way Jake Paul talks trash, but I do respect his game.
100.
And I think if I talk to Jake Paul outside, because I know his business accolades, in a normal setting, I'd be very impressed with him as well, and we'd probably get along fine. I think this is a show. I don't like him as his show. I don't like it. It's very disrespectful. Mm-hmm. And there's some unwritten rules in fighting, and he broke all of them. You don't make fun of people when you knock them out. You don't put memes of them laid out all over your living room floor, and you don't do these things because everyone gets knocked out. We just saw Conor get knocked out. We just saw every fighter in the world that we know except Khabib get knocked out. And it's going to happen to him. And he needs to realize that, if he keeps fighting, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to him. Probably this next fight. And it doesn't feel good when you get kicked when you're down in a fight when you lose by vicious knockout. And I think he was very, very disrespectful. This is something you don't do in martial arts and you don't do in fighting. Yeah. And this is why I lost respect for him. Even in a way where I don't even think Conor would be low enough to post memes of his guys knocked out in the living room floor piled up, you know, all this kind of stuff. Like Conor wouldn't even do something like that. And Conor's done some crazy ass shit. So it's like, I think he's asking for it, and I think he's going to get it. And that's just my prediction on that. And no, I don't think there's any doubt that Tyron's going to lose his fight, in my opinion. I don't see how it can happen. I mean, how is he going to beat him? He's going to outfight him? It's impossible. He can't outfight him for the entire time. Is he going to knock him out? Very unlikely. I think his best shot is if he does have just crazy Mike Tyson power and he just somehow lands on his chin, that's his only shot, but not likely.
So then, all right, what happens after this fight? Jake gets knocked out potentially. Is his career as a boxer over?
Let me tell you what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, okay? So what happens with these guys that are amateur level? He's amateur level. He's beginner, right? He's beat everyone up in the gym. He holds the video so nobody can show him, right? So that when he gets beat up or gets tagged, it never gets out. Like when he sparred with all these guys, you know, and stuff, he hides everything because he's insecure. So he knows, and he's winning all of his fights in the gym, right? So what's going to happen is he's not going to get used to getting his ass beat, getting beat up, getting knocked out, getting concussed, which all happens in training. And you learn eventually, because nobody, including myself and everybody else, when you first get your ass beat in the gym or wherever, nobody just bounces back confident. You're scared as fuck. And it's happened to me. It's happened to every fighter, and it's going to happen to him. The problem is it's going to happen to him in a real fight, right? Because he doesn't allow it to happen in the gym, because he controls his gym training, and he fights guys that he can beat up. And he doesn't have people that's beating him up and putting him on the ground and knocking him out. Before some of my biggest knockouts in the UFC, and I've had some big knockouts in my career, nobody would ever believe, but I got the shit beat out of me almost every single sparring session in the entire camp. I can't think of one that I won, a single sparring session, because I'm going with Josh Koscheck, I'm going with Jake Shields, I'm going with John Fitch, and we're doing round robin, which means they're coming in fresh every round. And I'm going 3 or 4 rounds with the fresh guy every round. I can't possibly go with 3 guys ranked higher than me when we're top 5. For 2 years, we were top 5 in the UFC. You know, I was obviously top 1 with Dan Hardy when we fought for GSP, the title fight against GSP. But before me, for the majority of the time, I was kind of below those guys, and it was Fitch, Koscheck, and Jake Shields above me, and then GSP was the leader, and none of us could beat GSP. So when I have 3 top 5 guys in the gym and they're going off on me, you know, the first round's with Fitch, second round is with the fresh Jake Shields, third round is with the fresh Koscheck. I can't win those rounds. I can't win those fights. But it teaches me to dig deep, and it teaches me to push hard, and it teaches me to do the things that you have to do as a fighter. So long story short, to answer your question, what's going to happen is if he gets knocked out in a fight, he's going to be insecure. He's going to contemplate whether he's a fighter or not. He's going to contemplate whether he has a weak chin or not. He's going to contemplate whether he wants to do it or not, especially if Tyron gets him tired and he starts questioning his heart. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not saying we can question it at this stage, but it's never been tested. He's only won fights very quick unless he's fighting very low-level guys. And so being that it's happening in a fight, it's going to change him as a fighter, because he's not used to it. He hasn't allowed it to happen in the training room, to where he got used to getting beat and picking himself back up and realizing, okay, like for me, like when I lose a round and I get beat in training, I don't go home thinking I'm a shitty fighter, and I don't go home thinking I'm going to lose my fight. I go home thinking I had a shitty day. And I know I can bounce back the next day, and I'm fine, and I know the circumstance, and I know that my body's fine, and I can heal, and I had a shitty day, and I got beat up, and that's it. So what? These guys are good. I'm not a bad fighter. I just got to come back and do better. He's not going to know that. He's not going to know that. He's just going to know he got flatlined and destroyed by a fighter. So what's going to happen is now he's going to have to fight lesser qualified fighters than Tyron to try to make a comeback, but he's going to have all these questions in his head, because he just got flatlined. And now these guys that are these lower level other athletes, or even maybe fighters on a lower level than Tyron, are going to be a lot harder to beat than the guys he's fought before. because he went into those fights extremely confident, because he goes through these camps and he beats up everybody. And all these yes men are around him saying, you're the baddest motherfucker. You're so cool. You're the next Mike Tyson. You're killing everybody. And so he's going into these fights with confidence. And that's the difference when you see a guy become a champion, why he becomes so much better than just the fight before he was a champion. He didn't learn so much different between those two fights. When he became a champion, his confidence went through the roof. That confidence can carry you in a fight. And you can fight better, and you can fight, with so many more tools because of that confidence is strong. It's one of the biggest things in a fight, because your mentality is the most important thing. And I think him getting knocked out, to answer your question, in this fight, or getting beat in this fight, is going to ruin his career. It's going to ruin his career. I have a feeling if he gets beat bad enough, we won't see him fight again. Because where's he going to go? I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to go down, and he's going to fight someone less qualified than Tyron, and he's going to have a harder fight than he would have before because he's insecure. He just got knocked out. And then the other guy is going to be confident because he just saw him get beat up by Tyron. And now he's going to have a hard fight and lose or barely win against a guy with way less credentials. So now he's on a downward spiral. Now he's not going up anymore. He's going down. So he's not understanding this. This is a career-ending fight potentially for him. It's not like just a loss. He's not gonna be different than every fighter and every person, including myself and everyone that I know at AK, who's had some of the greatest fighters in the world, who's all came into the gym with little to no experience, and I saw them from day one all the way until they were world champions in the UFC. He's not going to be different than every single one of these guys and bounce right back from a knockout and be confident, and bounce right back from an ass kicking and be confident. He's going to have to learn to bounce back. He's going to have to learn he's strong enough to keep going. He's going to have to learn that his chin is not as weak as maybe it showed, because he just got a hard punch. And he's not having camps that are teaching him that. So I think this could be, if Tyron does what I think he's going to do, a fight that could potentially end his career as a boxer, and at least start the downward spiral of it ending his career.